On this episode, the Wardens strike back in full force, overturning the colonial gains of the first 400 days in a 200-day offensive. The Colonial Old Guard Regiment launched the first ballistic rocket of the war, using it to strike a Warden rocket site in a tit-for-tat. Also, another round of crowdsourced news in Submissions Review. Live from Studio A in PressCorps World Headquarters, this is your weekly review of the Foxhole War. This is Pressing Matters. Morning, afternoon, or evening. For the PressCorps, I'm Geoffrey Jennings. Here in the 90th conflict of the Foxhole War, it's day 602. The Warden Empire strikes back, crossing 2.5 layers of regions in some fronts. But the Colonials dig in, trading their rocket, their first rocket of the war, to diminish Warden rocket capabilities. Combined deaths so far total over 2.68 million, with the Wardens suffering 7% more casualties. The region with the highest combined death count so far is Callahan's Passage, at over 314,000 dead. Here in the late stage of a war, both factions have deployed advanced armor assets onto the field. For the Colonials, the Bardiche assault tank meant for bunker busting, and for the Wardens, the Noble Widow tank destroyer. Neither the Colonial Falchion nor the Warden Outlaw have been spotted en masse as of yet. We are currently at Rocket Watch Level 1, Exchange. The PressCorps has verified the successful launch and detonation of a ballistic rocket. Further launches are highly likely. If you hear sirens, you are within the rocket's potential blast radius. Rockets require manual targeting by an on-site spotter and 15 minutes to transmit the coordinates. If the spotter is interrupted at any point, the transmission will fail and will need to be restarted. In the event of a successful transmission and launch, you will have seconds to evacuate the area. The blast radius of a rocket is 80 meters. No known structure or vehicle can withstand a rocket's explosive yield. Evacuation is the only possible survival method. Rockets are not nuclear, despite their popular nickname. The environment will be discolored, but will not be hazardous. Gas masks are not required to traverse the impact site, and would not keep you safe in an irradiated environment regardless. Again, the PressCorps Rocket Watch level has been elevated to Level 1, Exchange. An impact has occurred, and further launches are highly likely. Over the past 200 days, the Wardens have been on a fierce offensive, with Seavish forces firmly breaking through the colonial advance recently gained in the first 400 days of the war. Currently, looking at the map, both the Colonials and the Wardens are hunkered down in Callum's Cape, leaving the sector relatively calm for now. However, the Moors is currently being raided from the north. The Wardens are assaulting from Fort Blather and have leveled Water Lane, causing the Colonials to fall back to Ogberon. Also, in southern Moors, Colonials are putting up a stiff resistance at Wickawalk, where Wardens are pushing in from Cal's Pass and being slaughtered in high numbers. Ulster Falls is experiencing heavy clashes at Outwich Ranch, where Colonials are pushing from both south and north, putting the Wardens in a pinch. The Deadlands, normally always a heavily contested region, is currently seeing less of the action as other fronts. Colonials still controlling the majority of the sector. However, Wardens are attacking from Saltmarsh. We're also seeing fierce fighting in the north and south in Umbral Wildwoods, as the Wardens have taken over a majority of the sector and are focused currently on Thunderfoot and the Foundry. The Colonials are just barely maintaining a foothold in the Great March region in the north at Violet Home. Being completely surrounded, the situation there is bleak. The southern colonial logistics hubs of Red River and Calakai are heavily contested in their eastern and northern regions, as Wardens push to seize control of supplies. Highlighting all of this action out on the field, we now go to PressCorps Colonial Correspondent Draccos, reporting live from the Moors. Draccos, can you hear us coming through right now?
Yes, sir. We're right here in the Moors, south at Magnamorn. And it's looking a little greasy down here. There's fighting going on It's mostly between Wickwalk over here. They're attacking west. McNamara Barrows attacking east. It's on a road. We don't have a bridge battle or anything creepy going on here. This is all nice and fun action in the sun, which is not happening right now. It's nighttime. All the armor's pulled back on the Colonial side. I imagine on the Warden side as well. It looks like there might be a little bit of some regimental ops going on the Warden side. I can mention names. It looks like 82 DK is currently in the process of setting up shop in the area. And I can't really name any other Warden factions from the Colonial side because that's what I'm reporting from. But that is what is currently going on here at Magmara Barrows. And I'm just trying to get up the road here in the action right now. So just give me one moment.
Absolutely. Looking at Ogberon at the current moment in the moors, the situation is mostly in Colonial favor. However, we are in the midst of a Warden offensive over 200 days. This Warden has gone on, pushing hard against the Colonial line and has cut deeper than anyone would have ever guessed from the first 400 days of the fighting here. Currently looking at the map for the moors, Wardens are in control. As mentioned earlier, Wardens are in control of Wickawalk, Relic Base, and Mooringhand's Grave, with the area around Luck's Workshop currently being uncontrolled or at the very least contested. There are Colonial storm cannons in play within the region, and those are available to view by anyone and everyone. How effective those may be, if they're even able to fire, considering how close they are to the front lines, we are not quite sure. But we will we'll have to get more information about that as we go.
Unfortunately, right now, Geoffrey, because it's nighttime, it's looking like information and intel gathering right now is a little harder for me at the moment. As a reporter, I'm up here, but it's much harder to see at night. And
all right, so we have the audio coming in through now. So you
that
mentioned
is 150 on the boats.
artillery. Okay.
Thanks, there, Captain 49 from the COG. Appreciate that. Yes, 150s. That's what you guys are listening to. The pounding is happening right now. I'm going to try to step back a little bit so it's not as loud. I know artillery can blow some people's ears out, so let's get back a little bit here. With the folks at home, yes? Keep in mind, this is a very active war front right now we're dealing with. We're at Magmara Barrows over here. I think that's how you say it, Magmara? Magmara Barrows.
McNamara Barrows, I've never been able to get it quite down myself, but McNamara Barrows is probably the closest we'll get. That's there's a lot of snowy plains there that can be used for flanking. Can you describe the Colonial defensive situation?
It looks very tier 3-ish right now. Everything is looking nice and concrete. It looks like they have weapons in position that pretty much work to their advantage right now. The artillery teams right here are actually working in unison very well. CRG and the hose guys are working in unison right here very well, actually doing their artillery loading, firing. You can hear it in the background. But the overall defense that I'm looking at here is pretty, I want to say, in some cases, a little jake around the edges, but mostly looking like it can definitely hold up a major assault. So they're going to need storm cannon. They're going to need harder artillery coming in. They're going to need tanks during the day. The Wardens, if they want to attack this place, are going to need a real assault force if they want to come in here. Because right now, it's looking to me like a fortress.
Right. So what we can see publicly on the public maps that anyone can see, the closest Warden storm cannon, if I'm not mistaken, is probably going to be from Reaching Trail. I think that might be out of range from McNamara Barrows. But it's certainly going to be still hitting. That's probably why we see Luck's Workshop unoccupied right now, or at the very least not captured by either side up in the northeast corner of the moors. But regardless, it looks like the Colonials have at least 6 storm cannons operating within not the center of the region, but laterally speaking. I think I'm saying that right. There are clusters of storm cannons spread out. Again, storm cannons are publicly available information. So it's going to be, mirroring that with the smaller but still fearsome Colonial artillery. I do wonder if the Wardens are going to be able to make any moves here in the night. Do you think you can venture out forth, or how tight are the? I should rephrase that. How close to the town are the defenses? Is it pretty clustered? Is it pretty tight, or is it more spread out with skirmishes happening pretty much all over?
Well, as you can probably see on my end here, the road going up the road here is pretty much the road Carrington, as we remember from World War II in history, because it's just an infantry and tank battle left and right here on the border that we're looking at. There's not really a lot of opportunity at night or during the daytime for any defenses to really go up. So you're not seeing a lot of, map grid defenses here or anything really that can be on either side used to really push forward in terms defensively wise. So right now it literally is just a stalemate here at the border right here between McNamara Barrows and Wickawalk, where literally Colonial's over here at the map, right side, eastern over there from Wickawalk. The Wardens are clashing right here at the border, and it's just, I don't want to say it's a stalemate, but it's literally a battle for inches of land back and forth right here. And in Logi, I don't know how well they're supplying either side. I can't really speak on that per se. But I can imagine that with good supply from both sides, because it looks like McNamara Barrows here is well defended, and I can only imagine Wickwalk is probably equally. This is going to be a gritty, nitty, this is going to be a very staley battle here on the border here for a little while. But the good news is, at least it's not a bridge battle. Back to you, Geoffrey.
That's certainly one positive if you're looking for more maneuver in and around the area. Not a single body of water in the center or the southeast corners of the moors within the boundaries of the region. So yes, it looks like it's going to be field battles out in the snowy plains from both sides in about a 200-meter no man's land between the tight defenses of McNamara Barrows, and we have yet to get eyes on the Wickawalk relic base. Can you confirm that there are skirmishes taking place between small groups, fire teams?
Do that right now.
Or is it just that quiet?
No, it's just that quiet because I'm not really in the action right now. We're just so much as having an exchange. I'm kind of seeing a little bit of 141, a couple CRG guys, just a couple little random regime guys just moving around the map here.
It's the counteroffensive begins.
So right now, yeah, exactly like he just said, the counteroffensive is beginning. There's really just recon going on at night right now. I just see mostly a lot of just random recon guys running around. Maybe not in outfit. I don't know how many recon uniforms are working around the region right here right now. But there are guys out here on the field from different regimes that are looking around. And it looks like setting up landmines. We got landmine field set here. We got defenses that are going up in the night that can be put down. But the majority of what looks like is happening right now is mostly just recon. Looks like soldiers are trying to stay alive and just see what's happening. Make sure there's no armor moving up. Make sure no advances are happening that can be better or worse than what we can deal with in the morning. So, back to you, Jeff.
Funny enough, if any counteroffensive is going to take place in the next 24 hours, it's probably going to happen just a few hours after this show ends. But regardless, where we are right now, it's the calm before the storm, at the very least in the moors, and certainly across the regions as the Colonials still reeling, but some early signs that the Wardens may have hit a wall, but you wouldn't believe that with where they are right now, all the way in Callum's Cape, third into that region, as well as Red River, where the Wardens are currently trying to encroach upon those precious logistics hubs in the Red River region. So the Colonials are going to have a hell of a time fighting back with any counteroffensive if they really have it in them. But faith alone.
Run, Draccos, run!
But regardless, the fight continues, as you can hear in the background.
From the field, this is Draccos. Back to you, Jeff, and of course, have a great night, folks. Happy Foxhole.
There we go. Taking us to our top story is the Colonial-launched rocket that impacted the Evil Eye relic base and its adjacent rocket site, Endless Shore, on day 561. The rocket was launched from the Legionary back line in the region of origin by the COG Colonial Old Guard Regiment. This is the first rocket to be launched of War 90 and COG's first ever launch themselves. Joining us now are members of COG, 49, lead on the rocket operation, and MadCuzNoAim, the founder of the regiment. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us here live on the air. Appreciate it.
Hello, good to be here.
Yes, absolutely. So, first off the bat, for in terms of targeting and choice of rocket impact, why Evil Eye? We can imply, but we want to hear it straight from the horse's mouth here.
I mean, we had other options as well, but considering the recent change to the front lines, it is considerably harder to get to other more valuable targets. And Evil Eye was not particularly well defended, so we had our friendly spotter, Rick, who decided to make his way down there and, just try a cheeky nuke spot. And the rest is history, as they say.
Looking at the Evil Eye situation, how aside from the relic base and the rocket site, were there any layers of defenses? You said it was lightly defended, or at least not for the kind of protection you need for a rocket site. It seemed pretty easy to crack.
Yes. I mean, it was easy to crack in the sense that it was easy to get in range to hit the important bits of the nuke itself, and, well, ideally the relic as well, but they're right next to each other, so that's not particularly difficult. There was also a tier 3 Bob, but I don't think it extended the defenses enough to effectively block a spotting attempt, though there was clearly enough AI or observation tower range and watchtowers, because the spotter was found within a minute, 2 minutes, within 2 minutes. And
was there any attempt at a warden reaction? Any attempt to take out the spotter?
There was an attempt. They managed to find the spotter within 2 minutes of the nuke attempt, and he was surrounded by a large swarm of wardens for the duration of the nuke attempt.
They weren't able to get to him.
They were, but for some reason they have opted not to. They were literally next to him. I do believe that our spotter did engage in diversionary tactics, talking about the HV40 balance, which may have succeeded rather better than we could have hoped.
Yeah, MadCuzNoAim, I think you wanted to get in here. This seems like an absurd story, but if I'm hearing it right, it was the Wardens let you hit their own rocket site with a rocket.
Yeah, it is an interesting one indeed, because considering that it wasn't an empty site as well, there was a nuke fueling on top of it. So it was a nuke loss and a site loss added to that. But they preferred, I guess, to let it die. I mean, there is no point on just denying it, because, as 49 said, they found the spotter and just chat with the spotter during 10 minutes that required to launch the nuke.
Did they give any reason, since they were chatting, I'm assuming in local voice chat, did they give a reason as to why? Like, did they just not care? Did they think it was to their advantage somehow to lose this rocket site?
From earlier today, because earlier in the day I'd attempted another attempt to nuke the Reaching Trail site, and they decided to hang around and chat for about 8 minutes before executing me. I think that was their plan, but they got their time wrong, because the last question that they asked the spotter was how long left, to which our spotter responded 2 minutes, and the nuke landed on them about 20 seconds later.
No time for escape, it seems.
Pretty much.
Use of that timing there. So yeah, so for all intents and purposes, you're not quite sure why they let you do it.
There was a belief on nuke sites cannot be damaged by other nukes. I think there was such a belief, and that might contribute to their decision. That's my best bet.
So one of the theories. So you're saying one of the theories is that people just kind of wanted to see what would happen, to see if the actual rocket site would be destroyed.
Just take it as a test, maybe.
Take it as a test, right? So those.
I guess.
So the first rocket of this war is a test rocket. Please ignore.
Pretty much, and it's utilized. I mean, they've tried justifying it, because apparently the Origin nuke was the safest and most well defended, which is not true, and that this was a worthwhile trade. and that now that they have more nukes than we do, which also isn't strictly true because the Reaching Trail site is within range of storm cannons, which everyone can see, and Sitaria is not an easy nuke site to build up because of the cliffs, or not the cliffs, but the slopey terrain that surrounds it. So they may have an advantage on paper, but whether or not you can actually execute on that is it's debatable.
Can you disclose the names of the Wardens who were chatting with your spotter?
I think we've got some screenshots, but I need to dig those.
Okay, at least the regiment, if they were part of a regiment?
Oh, lots of regiments. The QRF was very varied. It wasn't just one.
How many people in that QRF, thereabouts? Just a guesstimation.
I would say at least 10.
20. Probably 20 in
20.
total, yeah.
Okay, so this wasn't just one person letting them go because they caught him and they just turned a blind eye. No, this was a concerted group effort to not do anything.
Absolutely, yeah.
Joint decision, yeah.
That's okay. That's kind of impressive, actually. Was there anyone trying to do their job, not their job, but you know what I mean? Anyone trying to say, we need to kill this guy because he's about to hit us with a rocket, and then they just defended your own spotter? Or
yes.
No, there was. Okay, so they did have to play some defense for their opponents, which was you guys.
Yeah.
I think that happened during the earlier spotting 49 mentioned. People were again around him and talking to him, and then a few guys showed up and, what are you doing? We need to kill this guy. Then he died. But that didn't happen in the second time.
I've found the screenshot, so a couple siege people, FMAT, the flag, Bud, Legio. Yeah. Fairly diverse mix of people. 11 ERC in another screenshot as well, ERP. And then the final words of our spotter, we're all going up in a big old mushroom cloud, boys. This
is a strange story, but somewhat wholesome at the same time. This is like the complete antithesis of the Jade Cove incident. Yeah. Where strategically it's not hurting yourself. You are actually hurting the opponent, but it's both sides are agreeing to do it.
I would also like to just mention that Elifnull did say in the Colonial intel chat just when we started the spotting attempt that he would eat his hat if it landed. And to my knowledge, he has not done so yet. So it would be greatly appreciated.
He might have choked on it. He may have choked on it. Yes. So we have no confirmation on that. We'll get back to you on that story.
It would paint a bad light on PressCorps if he, didn't hold to his word regarding the hat, in my opinion.
Well, this is just endlessly entertaining for me. I can't. This was not the story I was expecting at all. I was expecting heroics, a harrowing, run into the grass and attempting to get the mission accomplished. But instead, this was actually quite peaceful. So yes, this is COG's first ever rocket launch. Is that correct? Successful one?
Yes,
it is correct.
Do you feel? Is it almost deflating to know that the Wardens just let you do it?
I mean, I'll be honest. I'll take it because the last time we tried launching a nuke, we were denied by Heimdall beating us with another nuke that was going off at the exact same time by
5 minutes,
30 seconds, 5 minutes and 30 seconds, and that was enough to end the war, and resistance period started before we could actually launch ours.
Which was 88?
88, I believe. It was one of those. 88, 87, somewhere around there.
What was the rocket? Was the rocket that got the town that got hit? Was that Lockmore or
No, we were trying to hit Basin, I think. Yeah, we were trying to hit Basin.
Okay.
We were trying to nuke Cuttail, but during that time, I think somewhere in Reaching Trail, or the Moors got nuked instead, and the war ended before we could have done it.
That's the one.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was Elksford.
Well, in any case, regardless of how the operation happened or how that turned out, what no one can take away from you is the logistics, the construction, and the time and effort it took to actually build that thing, as any other regiment can tell you. Or any other group that's put effort into that. So I don't know if you can do some quick name dropping on people that have contributed the most to the rocket. To the construction of it and the logistics of it. I know 49, you were in charge of the entire operation, both from beginning to the rocket's construction to the launch. Is that correct?
Yes. For the origin site, I basically got all the materials for it by myself over the war, which wasn't particularly difficult. It's literally just 50 crates of HE mats and R mats. It's not that strenuous if you do it over a war. And well, there was some drama, so
we can give all the credit on the site and the nuke to 49 because he single-handedly built it. We had a team of engineers from our regiment helped building around the nuke site for defenses, but the credit for the nuke goes to 49 completely.
So the rest of COG built the defenses to protect the bubble, but in that bubble was 49 working like a madman, just an intensely focused individual in his own laboratory, his own haven of just ballistic rocket weaponry.
I may have also built the other 2 nukes as well.
Okay, other rockets and other launch sites?
Yes.
He likes the nukes.
I got denied once. I'm not getting denied another time, so I just decided to make all of them because the other sites didn't get built for 24 hours, basically. So, fun times.
Incredible energy. Instead of getting down on one, you make 3 more.
To be fair, the second and third were also large amounts of public logi. And CRD and T3C donating considerable amounts of resources for some of them as well. So
sure. So then, 49, I have to ask: do you enjoy logistics in its current state?
No.
No.
I'm not a logi guy. I'm a builder.
I see. Okay. So okay. You didn't gather the materials. You just built the thing.
Or with some of them, yeah. I mean, for the original nuke, I farmed all of those myself. For the second nukes, the second and third nukes, those were mostly public logi, combination of public logi and then T3C and CRD, effectively.
All right. Well, congratulations on your first successful rocket attempt. I don't know, any guess as to where the Wardens are going to hit you in response to this? It doesn't seem like it's going to be very revengeful, considering they let you have it.
Yes. I mean, they seem to enjoy threatening Callums, but honestly, I think that's just a bluff. No Warden would nuke Callum's cope. I mean, my guess is possibly Blemish or Bouquet. So
this turns out to be a very polite. If this turns out to be a polite exchange of rockets, I'm going to be very shocked. But you set a precedent if that's the case. So congrats. MadCuzNoAim, I believe you are the founder of the regiment, as mentioned earlier. So congratulations on founding a regiment that is able to accomplish.
Thank you, but
a single-man rocket.
We actually have a council on that. 49 is also one of the founders, and we also have another member, like 3 members leading as a council, the founders.
Understood. Okay, so that's going to be okay. So there was a bit of a democratic process involved with this.
Oh yeah.
In terms of the selection, in terms of the target selection.
Target selection was kind of more of a use the opportunity kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Wherever you can get spotters in, pretty much.
Yeah, we were testing different targets, and Evil Eye appeared to be the one.
Right. So yeah, it's once you fill it up all the way, it becomes a kind of a race against the clock to actually get it off the ground, because it's going to be draining.
Yeah, there's also that strain.
Well, is there anything else you want to give us in terms of insight or just thanks as a result of this entire operation?
I mean, I'll give thanks to Brick from UCF, who did the actual spotting for the successful nuke. And then everyone who basically helped build the site up. And also to the people who did try to do other spotting attempts that ended in more bloodshed for them rather than Wardens. So people like Seaborn and Griffiths and Mad as well, who tried a few times.
We were just memeing around.
That's also the Warden's work too.
Yeah, there are some very interesting curves. I have recordings of them and like very interesting curve tactics Wardens have.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if other rockets produce the same result. I doubt it, but we will see. Regardless, I want to thank both of you for joining us here from the Colonial Old Guard, the COG Regiment, the 49, and MadCuzNoAim. Thank you so much. I know I reached out to you kind of last second, just a few hours before the show began. So thank you for taking the time to come out here and lend your story.
We thank you for listening to us and inviting us as well.
Have a good one.
Cheers. Bye.
All right. Well, not how I was envisioning that story to go down, but there it is. There's the truth, at least from their side, and apparently that's how the Wardens want it told as well. We'll be back after this commercial break with Submissions Review.
Okay, if you just find yourself hyperventilating, that's okay.
Okay.
Just take a moment. We can do more tips.
Ready? Okay. I only have a couple of minutes.
All right.
Oh, hello everyone. This is Dylan Panini from Panini Realtor and Properties. Now, I understand that Northern Valley has been the site of violent clashes out on the frontier, but there's some downright gorgeous real estate in the heartlands. Who knew a region could have so many empty fields? Build your dream cottage amongst the beauty of an endless plain of tree stumps. There's even a lower and an upper barony field. Panini Realtor and Properties, please patronize my business.
If and you was fixing to get up to trade some lead, but your gullet's asking for a reprieve, come on down to Faraday Fried Chicken, where a highly experienced staff of one will find you a yardbird and give it to you fried, with or without feathers and fixings, at a respectable price point. Now I know what you're saying. Chicken? Yes, dagnabbit, chicken! I got me a whole cage full of the fattest, dumbest yardbirds, and they're begging you for the sweet release of death and the juicy resolution of dinner time! Now you peckish peckerwoods, get your asses over to Faraday Fried Chicken, where you'll get my special, the bag of shit, for 5 BMATs, 2 drumsticks, 2 scoops of some shit I found in the ocean, and a canteen filled with hooch. 5 BMATs! Faraday Fried Chicken! Now get the fuck out of my shed! Get out! God damn it! Get out!
Now it's time for Submissions Review, putting the in crowdsource. The following stories were submitted by users in the submissions text channel in the PressCorps Discord, where you can submit your own, by the way. This first one coming from the Jade, Cove, Herald. Stand by as we may have to move some things around. But regardless, a lot of the stories that come through our various Discord channel, one of them including the Jade Cove Herald, and has been successful in bringing us a new issue here. The Art of War is their headline, and plenty of operations still happening around there. This one detailing a Colonial operation behind the Warden lines. We're going to read here exactly what they wrote. You may not be able to see it on the screen, but because we're on the radio, but we'll certainly give it to you here. Operation Comeback. It seemed like only a couple of wars ago that the 141 Colonial Rangers assaulted the King and captured it as part of a morale-boosting effort for the Legion Army at its lowest. Now, several years later, I write again about the achievements of the Colonial Rangers. Yesterday, before War 89 was over, First Lieutenant Tenoxis and his pride of brave men entered the mess hall of a former restaurant in Red River. The men were cheering for him as he exclaimed that scrying belt is ours. Scrying belt is ours. Do I know what that means? Not necessarily, but we'll get into more detail right here. A few hours later, we had conversed in detail over the event. Quote, we took 2 barges, a CV on one and a Spatha on another. It took us about half the day to reach Nevish Line. When we breached, we didn't know what we'd encounter, but we didn't think the damned place would be a ghost town. He exclaimed before taking another swig of wine. He's had thrice his ration of it by this time in the night. Quote, after stopping a few times to warm up, we continue on our way. A smart fella, Isaacs was his name, helped out quite a bit with the scouting and having a FOB, forward operating base, set up for our attack. Operation wouldn't have gone as smoothly as it did without him. Damn good soldier that Isaacs is, unquote. I underlined the name Isaacs in Notepad as Tenoxis. Tenoxis continued to speak. As I began to ask my last question, the rejoiced first lieutenant was softly snoring, clenching the wine bottle tightly between his fists. The next day I filled in the details I needed from the other participants of the operation. A limping comrade who goes by the Milkman said, quote, well, I wasn't there for most of the beginning. I was recovering from frostbite in the FOB. But I was there when we took out the town hall. We were quick. They weren't expecting it. This is the second Special Operations ribbon to be given to the Colonial Legion in over 2 centuries, and it goes to the 141 Colonial Rangers once again. While the war ended a week later, a well-deserved rest had come for those 10 men. So that story coming in about War 89, so this is a different war on a colonial operation behind the lines. Their other story, their secondary story, about the r/place saga. Quote, or rather the headline here, Painting Project Stalls Offensive. This is in the midst of the journey for the Foxhole community and their place in r/place on Reddit. We have received multiple reports that the recent Warden offensive on Callahan's Passage was delayed by several days due to an exceedingly odd and unsanctioned contest between the 2 nations' more artistically inclined conscripts. It would turn out well over 500 men and women from both factions had holed up in a large barn north of Lokenberth, where they had assembled a massive canvas stretching from floor to ceiling, several cans of paint, and multiple ladders. For several days, the soldiers played a mock war of art, running about, painting over each other's, marking as soon as the paint would dry. Several logistic trucks were reportedly diverted to continue the supply of fresh paint to the barn, along with multiple barrels of beer from the Loken's famed tavern. The entire affair came to a startling end when Legionary Military Police, along with elements of the Sevish Ministry of Truth, conducted a raid on the now famed Our Place barn. Soldiers of all ranks have been reportedly detained by authorities. Following the raid of the barn, authorities proceeded to white out the free-form artistic expression of the brave soldiers that took part in the event. When asked why such an act would be taken by authorities, a teary-eyed Legion QM replied that the canvas was originally requisitioned for medical tents and it would thus be, quote, turned back to the task for which it was assigned, unquote. We noted green paint on his fatigues before departing the scene. While the art and many of the men who created it are gone, we will not soon forget its glorious few days of existence. So a lovely explanation as to how the war in Foxhole translated over to the war in r/place. Maybe not a literal account, but certainly a fun one to read about nonetheless. Continuing on, we're going to read this story from Adjacent Gull 792, wartime report, April 21st, or rather time, 0900 hours. We don't have the exact day of the event, but it did take place in the morning here in War 90. Quoting the submission here, a Pyrrhic victory. That's what I'd call it at this point. Reports continue to flood my desk and crowd my office. Currently, the estimated casualty count is 1.5 million for both sides, so obviously happening several hundred days earlier. However, the exact total is likely closer to 5 to 6 million on both sides. Countless war crimes have been committed by both sides, and the way I see it, neither side is the righteous one anymore. Despite this, the Wardens are slowly but surely squeezing the Colonials out of this land. Hopefully this ends sooner rather than later, so no more lives are wasted by a war which goes on for no reason that I can see. Until then, we have to keep fighting for our cause. Perhaps after this war we can find some scrap of forgiveness for each other. That is coming from Corporal Andrew Adjacent Gunderson from the Foreign Legion 11th Infantry Brigade of the Warden Army. I'm not sure if that's exactly the name of the regiment, or if that exists as a regiment, or if that's more flavoring, but regardless, that report coming from the midst of the Warden offensive, the last 200 days of Warden offense that has existed thus far. And it's still a harrowing account regardless. Our next submission comes from, I'm going to have an interesting time with these names, but next one coming from Edel Door. That's my guess. Quote, "It is with sadness that I admit the losses of Iron Guard's storm cannon this night around 1 in the morning. By a satchel run through our defenses, 4 courageous defenders fought the 20 attackers with their weapons and their hands, but failed. As a survivor of this attack, after killing with my hand the last uwu, I want to thank all clans in reaching that help us, and thank particularly the Spud, the Calf, One Cab, Fow for their help, and other allied. And I want to thank the 2 defenders that helped me and my friend to defend the storm, Haifa, Slayer of the Spud, and a 14 ELS member. Sadly, I forgot the entire pseudo beginning with Lord. Reaching Trail is at stake. The future will be darker soon." So this is a Warden account, as they are thanking Spud and other Warden regiments. But this was earlier in the war during the first 400 days of colonial gains. But those fortunes have certainly turned. And I'm gonna gather that this submission was from someone who does not speak English, which is perfectly fine. We accept broken English no matter what. We just want to get the information in for the record. Please stop by PressCorps World Headquarters through the Discord link below and submit your story. We will not make fun of you for your broken English because let me tell you this, your broken English is going to be better than the second language I don't know how to speak at all. I can't even give it a shot. So here with our final submission for the episode, circling around back to the editor-in-chief of the Jade Cove Herald, Saucy Rambler, reporting on the BMATs for the People event that the Jade Cove Herald led and took place in earlier in April. An after-action report brought to you by the Jade Cove Herald. Quote, "As the clock struck midnight on April 2nd, the last truck pulled into White Walk Storage Facility in Weathered Expanse to deliver the final shipment of public BMATs in what was an exciting 24-hour event hosted by the Jade Cove Herald. A Warden team would claim the coveted title of greatest logistics player, with reigning Scroop managing to deliver 88,600 public BMATs. In total, 136,400 public BMATs were generated across the 2 factions during the event, with a notable 1,000 being delivered by a single player using only a hammer and bicycle. The two-man team from reigning Scroop went on to be awarded a free copy of Foxhole by the Jade Cove Herald, along with a $20 Steam gift card by our sponsor, the United Colonial Front Regiment, so the UCF. We congratulate all players for their hard work and generosity for taking part in our event, and hope the factions enjoy this impromptu supply of free material in the early days of War 90. The Herald is formulating our next contest for War 91. Stop on by our Discord and share your thoughts." So the Jade Cove Herald successful in holding an event there for public BMATs, resulting in public BMATs. It's always nice. It's always nice when a group or a regiment or who have you want to dedicate a private server, a private shard, or maybe something else in some other game, but when they can translate it into the actual live shards of the actual war happening right now and have a positive outcome for both sides, that's always a fun community thing. That's always the best result in my personal opinion. But the next event happening in War 91, we'll just have to see. They'll have plenty of time with the way this war is going, and back and forths all abound. As I mentioned earlier, these stories were submitted by users in the submissions text channel in the PressCorps Discord. Link below, just click on the picture that says Discord, or through the link if you're watching this on YouTube. Either way, get your story heard. Doesn't have to be the highest quality in the world. It just has to be one that is honest from your point of view. That's all we ask for. Well, that's all we have for this week. Make sure to stop by PressCorps World Headquarters through the Discord link below and submit your stories for a chance to hear your story on the air. Additionally, if you see our reporters out in the field, do not be afraid to say hello for a quick chat. For the PressCorps, I'm Geoffrey Jennings. Good night and good fight.
The PressCorps is a non-profit creative collective of artists, reporters, and players from the MMO video game Foxhole by Siege Camp. Our mission is to engross our audience in and amplify the stories of this unique war ecosystem. The PressCorps was founded in early 2018 by former PlanetSide 2 Radio Free Araxis host, Captain in Arms. It is a separate community entity and is in no way representative of Siege Camp. For more information, visit the PressCorps Discord through the link below.